Welcome to Ian Maigua Pictures. I'm Ian Maigua, and today I'm going to show you how to animate a walk cycle. So why do you need to master the walk cycle? Well, it's quite simple. If you're making an animated short, you probably need to move your character from one place to the next. That means your character has to be able to walk. Lucky for you, I'm going to show you how to animate your own walk cycle today. Now, there are a few things that you need in order to do this. You need a computer, an animation program. Many of you are probably using Flash, but today I'm using Toon Boom. And one last thing, you'll need to download the Walk Cycle Animation Pack. This pack will help you to easily follow along with the tutorial. Once you've downloaded the pack, you can continue with the tutorial. Now that you've downloaded the Walk Cycle Animation Pack, it's time to make the project. Now the first thing I did here was I titled it the Batman Walk Cycle. I'll be using the character Batman in this animation. I changed the frame rate to be 24 frames because that's the standard for animation, and I changed the resolution to be 1280 by 720, which is HD. Go to the window and select the timeline button. Once you scroll down, you'll see the timeline button. Click on it. Now we're going to create 4 layers. In order to do this, you need to click the green button, which is right here. Now the 4 layers we're going to create for this project will be the model sheet, the rough animation, the volume checker, and final animation. The next thing we're going to do is to import the Batman model sheet into this program. You can find the model sheet in the Walk Cycle Animation Pack that you just downloaded. Now, go to File, scroll down until you see Import File. Click on it and you'll see the Batman model sheet. Click on the model sheet and then press the Open button. By doing this, you'll see that the image has been imported into the program. Now, next step is to go to Window, scroll down until you see Timeline. You'll notice that the image created its own layer. That's very important. When you import images, they create their own layer. Alright, now that you've imported the Batman model sheet into the layer, you'll notice that you're on the Batman Walk Cycle layer. Now, I want you to right click on that frame and convert the element to vector. By doing this, it will help you to be able to draw on the image. After converting the element to vector, you'll notice that drawing 2 will appear. That's its own individual layer that contains the same drawing. However, the difference is that you can be able to draw on this layer. So what I want you to do is go to the Batman Walk Cycle layer and then delete it. Once you've deleted the Batman Walk Cycle, you'll notice that you're on drawing 2. Now I want you to right click on that frame and click Copy Frame. Once you do this, I want you to go down to the model sheet layer and then paste it there. Once you've pasted the frame to the model sheet layer, you can now delete drawing 2. The next thing I'm going to do is to trace the Batman model sheet. In order to do this, I need to turn on the onion skin, which is right here. Then I'm going to go to the next frame and trace this image. Now I'm going to do this in time lapse. However, after I'm done, we're going to review both images and discuss the differences between both of them. In the original Batman model sheet, you'll see Batman's utility belt. However, in my version, you'll notice that part of the belt is blocked by the hand because the hand is closer to the camera. Now, the reason why I did this is because I'm going to use my version as the starting point for the walk cycle, and it's important for me to reference the original version to make sure that the Batman utility belt remains consistent throughout the walk cycle. The next thing to do is to turn Batman's design into its most basic shape. The reason why I want to do this is because when I animate the rough animation of this walk cycle, I want to focus on the motion first and then add the details later. By using this basic shapes approach, I'll be able to animate a walk cycle featuring this simplified version of Batman, and then once I'm done with the walk cycle and I like it, I can go back and add the details later. Now I'm going to do this in time-lapse. However, after I'm done with the drawing, I'm going to go back and show you the differences between my trace version and this basic shape version. On the right hand side is my simplified design. For the head, I use a circle. For the chin area, I use a square, but it's slightly skewed. For the chest area, I use an oval. For the Batman symbol, I use a square, but it's cut off by the chest. I split the arms into two pieces. Best way I can describe the arm is that it looks like a rectangle, but has circular edges. The gloves have two distinct shapes, a triangle and a square. The hips are circular, the utility belt is a rectangle, the legs look like drumsticks but without the stick, and finally the feet look like triangles. Alright, we're about to begin the Batman walk cycle. However, we need to do a few things first. We need to first draw the background line, then we'll need to draw a line above Batman's head. See, as I'm going to animate Batman's walk cycle, his head is going to go up and down. Then the last thing we'll need to do is to draw the two walk lines. Look at Batman's feet. You'll notice that his right foot is closer to the camera, while his left foot is farther away from the camera. This simply means that we'll need two lines. Now, the reason why I use these lines is to make sure that as I'm animating the walk cycle, I want to make sure that his foot will always touch the ground, and these lines help me to do so. Alright, let's begin the animation. Now I want you to open up your walk cycle animation pack and pull out the walk cycle reference chart. We're going to be using this for this animation. Now there are four phases to a walk cycle: the contact pose, the down pose, the up pose, and the passing pose. Alright, we're going to start off with the contact pose, then we're going to go to the passing pose, then we're going to go to the down pose, and then we're going to go to the up pose. Now for the contact pose, I'm going to make sure that my Batman simplified design matches this contact pose. I'll do it in time lapse, but we're going to go back and review. You'll notice that my simplified Batman design matches this contact pose. His right leg is moving forward while his left hand is moving forward. The simple rule to creating a good contact pose is to always remember left arm equals right leg, right arm equals left leg. It'll always be the opposite. Now the next step is to draw the second version of the contact pose, which is this one right here. Alright, the Batman pose matches this one. Now the next step is to see where I'm supposed to align this contact pose. Now the best way to find out where to position it is to look at the contact pose in this diagram. You see in this contact pose the right foot is going forward, and in this contact pose the character is pushing against his right foot. So it only makes sense that you should place your contact pose 2 to be close to where your foot would be flat. Now in order to find that, I usually use an arc, and then I'll take the contact pose 2 and move it close to that arc. And that's basically how I approach positioning each contact pose in a walk cycle. In this contact pose, I use the same principles as before. I find out where the foot would be flat, I use an arc, and then I'll take the next contact pose and push it towards that arc. The next step is to complete the remaining contact poses in this walk cycle. Now that we've finished the contact pose, the next step is to draw the passing pose. Now I have my Batman character. I'm going to make sure that it looks like this passing pose right here. And in addition to this, I'm going to make sure that I draw the next version of this passing pose where the character is putting his weight on his left leg instead of his right leg. I'm going to do this in time lapse. After I'm done, we're going to go back and review both passing poses. Now that I've finished drawing the passing poses, it's now time to review them. Now, the first thing is the passing pose 1. You'll see that it's similar to this pose right here. In both poses, you'll notice that the head is slightly above the line. That's very important. Now, if you look at the hands in both images are to his side. That's also very important. And the last thing is to look at his legs. You'll see that one leg is planted firmly on the ground, it's flat, while the other leg is bent. These are the 3 tips to think about when you're drawing your passing poses. Now in passing pose 2, everything is pretty much the same with one major exception. His weight is now on his left leg instead of his right leg, and now his right leg is the one that is bending. Now with that, we can now move to the down pose. I've just finished drawing my down poses for this walk cycle, so let's review. In this down pose, you'll see that he puts his weight on his right leg, just like in this down pose right here, and his left hand is moving forward. That's very important to remember, that when you're doing a down pose, to make sure that the head goes underneath the line. Now in this second version of the down poses in this walk cycle, I just switched the legs, so now he's putting his weight on his left leg instead of his right leg. I'm gonna finish placing the remaining down poses in this walk cycle, and after we're done, we'll go on to the up poses in this walk cycle. We've finally reached to one of the most important phases of a walk cycle, the up pose. Now I'm going to draw the two alternative versions of the up pose, one where he's pushing off his right leg and the other where he's pushing off his left leg. I'm going to do this in time lapse, but once I'm done, we'll come back and review them. I've just finished drawing the two up poses in this walk cycle, so let's review. On this up pose, you'll notice that his head is above the line, just like this one, and that you'll notice that the reason why he's going above the line is because the character is pushing against his right leg, but he's pushing up vertically. That's why his head goes above the line. Now in this other alternate pose, it's pretty much the same thing except the legs are switched. Now that I've done the up poses, I'm going to draw the remainder of the up poses in this walk cycle, and then we'll preview what we've done so far. As I'm playing the animation so far, you'll notice that Batman is indeed walking, but he's walking pretty quickly. That's because we don't have a lot of frames in this animation. So in order to slow it down, we need to add more drawings in between the drawings that we've done so far. In the animation world, this is known as in-betweening. In-betweening is a very lengthy process, so for the sake of this video, I'm going to draw two in-betweens. The first one will be in between contact pose 1 and down pose 1, and the other one will be between down pose 1 and passing pose 1. I'm going to draw these in-betweens, and then we're going to come back and review. Let's review the first in-between. Now, the idea with the in-between is supposed to help you transition from one keyframe to the next keyframe. Now, our keyframes right now are the contact pose and the down pose. Now, as I'm flipping through this pose, you'll see how the in-between helps sell the idea that he's actually moving from his contact pose to his down pose. I want you to first look at his head. In the contact pose, it's up. In the down pose, it's down. So in my in-betweening, I decided to put it towards the middle spot. Then let's focus on his hands. In the contact pose, his right hand is moving backward. But as we move towards the down pose, he's really pushing it backwards. So I had to sell the idea that in my in-betweening, that it's about near the middle spot. Now let's look at his legs. His right leg in the contact pose is completely stretched out. But in the down pose, it's slightly bent. So in my in-betweening, I decided to go for a half and half. Something that looks like it's still stretched out, but it's starting to bend a little bit. And my left leg, the contact pose, his foot is still touching the ground, but as we move towards the down pose, it's off the ground. So in my in-betweening, I decided to still have the foot touching the ground, but it looks like it's about to get off the ground. So that way when you scroll through them, it helps sell the idea that he's moving from one pose to the next. Let's move on to our second in-between. Now you see in the down pose, Batman's head is down, but in the passing pose, he goes up. So in my in-betweening, I decided to put Batman's head in towards the middle area where it shows that he's moving up. Now the reason why he's moving up is because in the passing pose, his leg has completely straightened out. But in the down pose, it's still bent. So it only makes sense that in the in-betweening, I start to slightly straighten out that leg in order to sell that motion. Now, the next part I want you to notice are his hands. Now look at his right hand. In the down pose, it's all the way behind him. You'll notice that in the down pose, his right hand is all the way to the back. But as he's moving towards the passing pose, his hands start to move forward. So I decided to make sure that in my in-betweening, I was able to place the hand in such a way that it looked or appeared that it's moving forward. And that's the basic idea of in-betweening. You're helping the audience transition from one key pose to the next key pose. And with that said, I applied this same technique to the rest of the in-betweening involved in this walk cycle. But in order to save time, I decided to skip it. Let's now check out the animation and see how a fully in-between walk cycle looks like. As we're previewing the second animation walk cycle, you'll notice it's much slower than the other one that we had before. That's because we fully in between the walk cycle. Now the advantage is you can clearly see that Batman is walking and the audience can easily read that. That's why in betweening is so important. Now the next step is to add the details to the rough animation that we have drawn so far. Alright, it's now time to clean up the animation. So before we do that, you need to first click on the camera view, which is right here, and then also make sure that you're also on the final animation layer that we created in the beginning of the tutorial. Now, as you can see, there's another drawing right next to it known as the volume checker. I created a layer called volume checker specifically for this frame. I'm going to be referencing this frame to make sure that my volume is consistent, and I'm going to be referencing the frame to make sure that my volume in the drawing is consistent. I'm going to do it in time lapse, but after I'm done, we're going to come back and review it. Let's compare the rough contact pose versus the final contact pose. Now let's look at them. You'll see that the rough contact pose acts like a guideline for the final contact pose. Now whenever I'm finalizing any animation drawing, I always like to compare it to a volume checker. The basic idea behind a volume checker is to make sure that as you're animating your character, the volume remains consistent so that way your character does not keep growing as it's moving. I've applied this technique not only to the contact pose, but to the several poses that I have in this walk cycle. such as the down pose, the passing pose, and the up pose. Alright, it's now about time to view the final animation. But before I do that, I wanted to show you why the rough animation is so important when you're animating any kind of animation. So in order to do this, I'm going to flip through the drawings. Now remember, the rough animation is in blue while the final animation is in black. As I'm flipping through the drawings, you'll notice that the final animation is assisted by the rough animation. However, you'll notice that there are certain differences between the rough and the final, because in a rough animation is rough animation. It's supposed to be done quickly. But when you're doing a final animation, you'll make certain tweaks that will help it become better. And that's why you'll see the differences as I'm scrolling through the frames. Now, for the time you've been waiting for, in 3, 2, 1, let's see the final animation. And this is how you animate a walk cycle. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like and subscribe. Download the walk cycle animation pack. You can find it on my site, maiguapictures.com. And follow us on our social media profiles so you can stay updated on the channel.